Hello everyone, welcome back to another episode of Magick Witchcraft and Occultism. This is episode 8, part 6 on the field journal. Now, part 6 is a little bit more of an overview of what a field journal is and what it can be used for. So, let us begin. The field journal. First, I think it's a good idea to mention, not every single practitioner is going to need or want every single kind of field journal. Some practitioners will never leave this as safety of their own library, so to speak. There will also be other practitioners that are far more interested in going out into the field to conduct their own field research and see what they can find and put their skills to the test. These practitioners are far more likely to have more than one type of field journal, but this, of course, is heavily dependent on the interest of an individual practitioner and the amount of time a practitioner wants to invest in any given journal or field of research. It is also dependent on how many different areas of study a practitioner can invest their time and their resources in, as field research can be very expensive. Now, that's not to say that it has to be, but it can be, and it's something to keep in mind. Now, what is a field journal and what is it used for? Since you already have 3 other major journals, and that's assuming that you kept all 3 prior to this, why do you need this one? And these are all good questions to ask, and there are several good reasons. First, a field journal is not necessarily one kind of journal. It's more of an umbrella term that depends on the practitioner's interested field of study or fields of study. The field journal can also be different things to many different people. There are also many different kinds of field journals, so I can't go over all of them, but I will be going over the most common ones used. An herbalist field journal can be used to note which specific flora are growing in your local area. It could also contain information on gardening and cultivating and harvesting techniques of herbs, trees, and bushes. It could also contain notes on different poisonous herbs, berries, and mushrooms that you know exactly what they look like, so you know to avoid them, so you know not to pick them, so you know not to consume them. As many berries, mushrooms, or herbs can be or look nearly identical to others that are benign, so an herbalist might really want to transcribe a portion of their personal grimoire down into their field journal so they can identify it. Just look at the picture, look at the description. Oh, I should not pick that. It's poisonous. Or maybe you are looking for specific herbs, berries, or mushrooms that are poisonous for a specific ritual in gray or black magic, and you need that specific correspondence, or you need that specific effect of that specific plant. Just something to keep in mind to give you a little bit of perspective. The next is the academic journal. Now, a very common use for this journal is when you're going to libraries and museums or somewhere similar to this to conduct field research, and you may need to take handwritten notes or write notes on a digital device, as some of the books or documents you may be reading or researching may simply be too fragile to have copies made of them or be touched. That's why usually when you go to museums, if you can touch them, you usually wear gloves, because the oils on your fingertips can be corrosive to the paper because it's just that old and that brittle. So it's something to keep in mind. Now for the field journal on cryptozoology. Also, just about everything in this section can apply to zoology as well, just so you know. Now, if you're using this field journal for research into an investigation when you're investigating the sighting of a cryptid, you may need to conduct interviews and write down witness statements. You may be in a library taking notes, going through microfilm, looking up old news articles of strange creatures that have been seen in the area or in the woods or at the edge of town or in a local area or surrounding other local areas. Now, your investigation can be in several different kinds of locations depending on the cryptid you are investigating. This is important to keep in mind. It's also important to remember to be prepared for whatever environment or situation you might find yourself in, such as if the cryptid you're investigating is in the woods or a jungle compared to if that same cryptid may be found in a mountainous terrain or a lake or an ocean or a river. You not only need to have the right equipment, you also have to have the right set of skills to be out in the wilderness safely. So always keep that in mind. Now for the cult or occult field journal. Now, you may have or be using this field journal for research into cult or occult activities or behaviors you may be investigating. Now, why may you be investigating this? You might have been sent here by a circle, a coven, or an order, and if you're being sent here, it's more likely an order than anything else. Now, they might have an invested interest in the area, and if it's just benign, such as just regular pagans going woods and doing their religious celebrations or whatnot, that's fine. But if it's an active and dangerous cult, we as practitioners are the ones who's going to be blamed, and best that we look into it ourselves or bring whatever findings we have to the local police or sheriff department and send it over, because we'll have a perspective that they won't. All right, so you may need to conduct these witness interviews and write down statements, and there may have been complaints or rumors of strange happenings in less traveled side roads late at night. There may be coincide with specific moon phases or specific pagan holidays. There could be reports or accusations of strange people meeting in the woods chanting. It could be reports of a new strange cult that the average mundane wouldn't recognize as being occult activity and not cult activity. Please note the difference. That we as occultists would recognize as either being possibly harmless or dangerous activities and behaviors. So best we police ourselves. And lastly, the Supernatural Field Journal. Now, you may be investigating reports of supernatural activity at a specific location, an old house, an abandoned industrial building, or even a place in the woods. Now, why would you be doing this? Usually you'd just be doing this as a hobby, a personal interest, be a necromancer, and this might be a good way for you to test the skills that you've been reading about in the books for years and put what you've learned and apply it to the test. There's a lot of reasons why you might be investigating these sort of things, but usually this is going to be for a personal reason. I'm probably out of time as usual, and I should have said this in the beginning, so please do the like, share, subscribe, and click the notification bell. I'd appreciate that, because I keep getting lost in the YouTube algorithm. So, as always, I would like to wish you all the best of luck with your research. In peace.